Good morning mga katribo and welcome to a very delicious episode of Straight Talk. I'm Francine Marquez and today I'm very honored to have here in our studio Mr. Simplicio Umali Jr., President of Gardenia Bakeries. Hello, sir. Welcome to Straight Talk.
Good morning, Francine.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, the man behind all those delicious breads that we've been eating for many years, from ourselves to our kids and so on. Sir, if I may ask, how have you been? Thank you for making it here.
Well, I'm glad to be here and happy to share some thoughts.
Yeah, so, sir, maybe my first question already is, you run the business side of things, but are you also a home baker? You want to know more about you first?
Actually, yeah, I am more of I'm not a home baker. I am basically more of a bread lover. And since I love bread so much, when an opportunity came for me to join a company which was in the baking industry, I immediately jumped into it and said, oh, this is going to be an easy job for me. It did not turn out to be an easy job. It was a difficult scenario, but I learned it over time because I was able to use my expertise in marketing, in general management. But then in the process, I learned how to become an industrial baker. The whole industrial baking process and elevating the quality of breads to another niche level higher.
What attracted you? What drew you to the Gardenia brand? It's an international brand, if I may ask, no?
Yes, Gardenia is a brand that is based in Singapore. It was started by a guy named Uncle Slocum who created his own formula for making white bread, an American formula that he created. And our group of companies in Singapore, QAF, acquired that company and then started bringing it all over Asia. It is now in Malaysia, in Singapore, and later on it came into the Philippines. And that was in 1998 when our first full year of operation was in 1998. And then I came in the company in 1999, on the second year of operation. But it was at the time a very small corporation still.
And I understand it came at a time when there wasn't much variety yet in the maybe this particular segment of the bread industry, if I may say, no?
Yeah, it came at a time when consumers would call the loaf bread tasty.
Yes.
Prior
and
to
just that.
yeah, prior to that, the older generation, the grandparents now, used to call it pan or pan Americano.
Yes,
because it's an American invention.
Yes.
No, and they brought it to the Philippines, whereas the Spanish brought in pandesal.
Yes.
Now, with the pan, then because all the brands of bread in the market had they had a claim that their product is tasty. Everybody called themselves tasty. And so the people could not remember the brands. There was no brand that stood out. But the common thing that they found among all the bakeries was the term tasty. So they called that bread tasty. And then when we came in, we said, we're going to change that. We're going to make them want to call it Gardenia.
Oh, and the rest is history, as they say, no? Because right now, when you think of bread, you really think of Gardenia and all its varieties, from the regular white bread to the wheat bread and everything else, all the flavors. So there's a lot of variety. I mean, it sort of extended the options of consumers.
Yeah. Well, actually, we started with just two products.
Which are, what were the first ones?
The white bread, which is the most common, we used to call, people used to call tasty, the Gardenia white bread. And then later on we introduced the wheat bread. At that time, we also had a third variant, which was a mungo loaf. No, but we took that out because the mungo that we use is imported and very expensive. So we decided to take it out. So we only stuck with two. Then as we went on, we started adding more and more variants.
What was the initial market that you were thinking of?
Well, all we wanted to do was to be able to serve the market better than the other bakeries, because bakeries were just concentrated in their communities, and there were branded products whose brands were not known, and they were selling themselves in supermarkets. So what we did, we tried to expand the distribution. Actually, I got into the company because my wife asked me to buy a loaf of bread that had the American impression and
I
colors,
see.
and I bought the wrong brand. And she
Oh.
got so angry. So when I met the guys who
So
were
there's a
selling it,
personal story to that
yeah,
pala.
and when I met the people who were marketing this, selling this, I told them, hey, I can easily sell your product at half the time and half the cost my services. So they offered me a job at half my price.
Wow.
But then they gave me the job that was double the time that I was giving them. But it was a challenge because from there on, we got inspired by the fact that the market was reacting well to our efforts
Yes,
to
yes.
change, innovate the market of
What do you think changed
bread.
the game?
Well, at the time, there was no known brand. So what we did, we started looking at what consumers were needing, what they wanted, and we started trying very hard to respond to their needs and wants. And that way we were able to support it with proper marketing efforts, and we just started gaining market share.
And where was the initial factory? Of course, you bake the breads here in the Philippines, right?
Yes, we brought in a factory here that was capable of producing 2,000 loaves per hour only. That's only two per hour, no, 2,000. And it was automated. The bread was produced and touched by hand, and the consumers found that we can produce a better bread. The technology we brought in and we shared it here.
Okay, yes, yes. So you improved you upskilled, you sort of elevated the way breads are being done
Yeah.
here, but on a more maybe industrial or more volume to supply, no? To
Yes,
supply.
consumers were assured that they were getting really quality bread, safe, produced in a clean environment. But more importantly, they found a basic difference between the other breads that they could buy. It was soft, it was aromatic, and then it was tasty. It really tasted good, and they liked that. And we added more to satisfy the consumer, and that allowed us. At that time, our price was 20% premium compared to all the other breads, and we were able to still market it to the consumers despite the premium price.
I guess because people really wanted to pay premium for such quality, flavor,
Yes.
and a lot of healthy factors as well.
Yes.
Especially with the whole wheat bran, no? And
Yes.
some grains and fruits like raisins and cranberry added to it.
Yeah, well,
Although you do
those
have
were the
your
later
sinful,
parts. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So, sir, what about so initially you had your first factory in Laguna?
In Laguna, yes.
And then how has it expanded through the years? I mean, the production.
Well, when I joined the company, I thought I was joining a small community bakery. That's why I said it will only take me half of my working time. When I saw it, actually, it was a big factory. 2,000 loaves is not small.
Yes.
That's a lot to supply. We could supply a lot to the Metro Manila market. And we could churn out a lot of these products, and we were operating at 8 hours per day. Suddenly we had to bring it up to 24 hours per day and started putting in more factories, more production lines as the market started expanding. But that's because we made sure that the product we were producing is what the consumers expected, and it delighted the consumers all the time.
And I think the standards continued to be of a certain quality. That's what made it attractive to consumers also.
Yes.
What you see today will be the same kind of quality you'll see the following week probably when you want to stock up on your
It's
breads.
consistent. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Unlike in a community bakery, like for example, you're getting the pandesal, they chop the dough, and then you're not sure whether it's exact yung size. In our case, because it's done by machines, you get exactly the same weight, exactly the same formula from the first loaf to the last loaf, and even every day and even months after that, it's exactly the same formula that you're getting. So you always find the consistency in the quality of the product.
Now, sir, let's fast forward a little bit. Well, maybe 2020, the time when the pandemic was declared. How did Gardenia fare?
Well, it was difficult. We've been through various crises, and the pandemic really was a big challenge because it hit us on two sides, the pandemic, and then it was followed by an economic crisis. And we had to focus our efforts to products that the consumers needed. So we started doing a lot of research so that we could find out what consumers were looking for despite the pandemic. Where were they shopping? Where were they buying? They stopped going to supermarkets, so we had to roll out to the communities and started distributing to more sari-sari stores, to more groceries. And we created territorial distributors that would really saturate the community. So the consumer doesn't have to go to the supermarket. He can find Gardenia in the nearby store, including the small sari-sari stores. And this was done not just in Metro Manila, but the entire Luzon and all the way down to Mindanao.
What about the workforce? So they continued creating. Did you downsize or maybe temporarily halt certain operations?
So we needed every single employee that we had at that time.
Oh my goodness,
Because
that's a good story.
we had to operate 24 hours.
I see.
And in cases where employees cannot come to the factory to work, what we did is our employees stayed and slept in the factory. We created facilities for them there so that they can continue working. Kailangan namin supplyan ang merkado ng tuloy-tuloy, lalo na nung pandemic. So with our workforce who were very dedicated, they stayed on, hindi sila umuwi for almost a month para tuloy-tuloy ang production namin. Ang concern namin was yung sales force namin, yung distribution namin. Kasi yung mga truckers namin are all over the place. But they were motivated naman kasi they know that they're helping the people, making sure that bread is delivered every day to their stores so that they can buy it. And we even expanded our distribution to reach more markets that were not in our distribution before. Because the supermarkets are very hard to go by.
Tsaka you have to have a long line, you have to do all the... What about the protocols? Nagbago rin ba the way you... Of course, I suppose you practice a lot of the health protocols also. Like the PPEs and all the tracing and all.
Except for the PPEs, our people were always wearing the mask, even before the pandemic. When SARS was there, we got our first test. No, everybody who comes to the factory is checked. We do temperature checks, and so we did a lot of protocols. Like you have to have every employee, even our salesmen from Lawag all the way down to Mindanao, they have to submit a daily health checklist through our digital network, so we know how they are doing. And then they wear masks, and they always had alcohol with them. We did all the necessary protocols, social distancing. For a while, our office personnel had to work from home, and then later on, they started coming back. But the factory people, they had to stay in the factory because the plant is there.
So would you say that that you were already prepared for the pandemic because of the hygiene and sanitation practices that your team had been practicing?
Yes. Because of our strict protocols on hygiene, and even experience with the previous SARS epidemic that came in, we were already basically prepared for that. But then we had to add some more. No, we had to do more. Like we had to find facilities where our people could stay, key people. We had to house them somewhere so they can come to the office. We increased our vehicles that would pick up our employees to bring them to the factory. And then we had to improve our digital network so that our people who are working from home are digitally connected and they can continue their work.
Would you say that your digital culture was fast-tracked because of the pandemic?
Well, we had to do a fast-track effort, but we still need to do a lot more because like the digital payment systems is something that we're still trying to roll out to the sari-sari stores. Because some of the sari-sari stores owners, they don't still want to absorb digital payment systems. Gusto pa rin nila cash pa rin. Nagbibigay pa rin sila ng barya. No? But gradually, this is changing now.
And of course, yung entry ng mga delivery apps, no?
Yeah.
So did you also get into that as well?
Yeah,
Like,
we created an e-commerce team in our
yes, yes.
company.
Oh,
So we worked with Grab, Lazada,
yeah.
Shopee, no,
Mm-mm.
and Lalamove. We work with a lot of groups that can do online deliveries, and it was very exciting and challenging. We even for a while created a group that was full of uh, those homeowners who wanted to have business on their own, so they created deliveries on their own. So
Okay,
we
oo.
developed their online
Oo.
business. But
Oo.
now that they're back to their offices, nawala
Oo.
na yung kanilang online business,
I
so we
see.
continued it through our other
Oh.
approaches.
But how much of e-commerce has stayed in the online?
Well, it's
Now
gone
that
down.
okay,
It's
now that
gone down.
physical stores are
Yes,
open, so you
yes.
suppose people still want to the touch and smell, no, when they do their
Yeah, during the
when they want
lockdown, yeah.
to check out the breads.
Yeah. Iba pa rin yung when you are in the supermarket, you can have a wide selection, you have the
Yes.
feel, no? That's right,
Oo.
touch and smell,
Oo.
no? And you can talk to somebody, a merchandiser who can explain things to you
Mm-mm.
better.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And but the online business is still there
Mm.
because it has created convenience,
Yes,
no?
oo nga.
But the before that there was a need to
Mm-mm.
get your bread. Where am I gonna get my bread for my breakfast? I don't want to
Mm-mm.
go to the supermarket. So pinade-deliver nila.
Ah.
Now, even the supermarkets are now doing deliveries.
Ah,
So they
yes,
also have
yes.
an online business. So
Oo.
it has expanded things. Now that the stores are open, the online business is there, it expanded the market. So as we see things, whenever there's a crisis, you create opportunities. And when you tap and take advantage of the opportunities, you develop and innovate to be able to grab the opportunities, then that opportunity stays on. So the market keeps growing and expanding.
Oh, and I guess that's where the agility of the company comes in, ano?
Yes.
Like you said, initially you try to take that need among people who are staying in quarantine to have an added probably enterprise that they can get into, and then after that online, maybe e-commerce, you built a team on e-commerce.
The pandemic actually created problems also for the whole industry and even for us. No,
Yes.
we had our stores. We had the Baker's Mission stores and Big Smile stores. Many of them closed down because the
Yes.
shopping malls they were closed. So they were inside the mall, so they had to be closed. They gave us free rent, but nobody was buying. There was
Yes,
nobody in the
yes,
malls.
yes.
So we had to close down these businesses, and some of our franchises had to close down their businesses. But it created an opportunity for us to innovate and create new things and
So,
find new ways.
Just to give our audience some back, Baker Mason is like the cafe part.
It's an artisan
Yes.
type of bread
Yeah.
that makes croissants. They make baguettes, no,
Yes.
the artisan bread
Yes, yes.
products, no, and quite a wide range of products that we had
Yeah.
there. And you can have coffee also
Yeah,
there,
and soup.
no, and yeah, and soup. We also had it there.
On a bowl,
And
bread bowl.
it was doing very well.
Yes.
But because of the pandemic, that had to be innovated. So we innovated. We introduced, instead of having that product sold through the stores, we brought it to the supermarkets in a frozen manner. Why frozen? Because consumers wanted to cook
Yes.
something at home.
Yes.
So you give them a frozen bread, they put it pop it in their oven, or even just an oven toaster. And then with that, it comes out like it was fresh from the oven, and then it's crunchy and crispy, and it's napakasarap, and they liked it. So it created a new market for us. So now we are going to roll out a lot
Which
of
is
our
here.
products.
We have the
Oh, yeah.
I just remember we have the
Oh,
croissant here.
we have this is the croissant. It's frozen. No, and this one is the Cuban cheese roll. It's the most popular one. It's
yes,
frozen, but then
yes.
you toast it, it becomes crunchy, and then when you bite it, it's hot and it's very nice.
Yes, yes.
Consumers love this very much. It's a popular one. We even have a cheese bun, a coffee bun that goes with it.
Oh,
So it created an
okay.
opportunity for us to go in. And later on, now we are going to roll out again the Baker's Maison outlets.
Oh, good. Good to know that it will be back. Yes, sir. So, during the pandemic, were there product trend? Because I remember there was a big baking trend during that time, no? Those ube cheese pandesal bakers.
Yeah.
Everybody was just staying home, learning new skills. How did you get into that kind of trend also? Did you develop products along that direction?
What we do is, it's a twofold approach. We constantly talk to consumers and find out what their needs are. And we try to monitor and observe them. And we immerse ourselves with consumers who love bread. I'm a bread lover. So therefore, when I immerse myself with them, I find out what their needs and wants
Yes,
are. And when we discover this, we try to develop products that will satisfy that need. At the same time, we know what are the trends in the baking industry.
Yes.
We attend international events where all these new products for baking are being introduced from all over the world. At the same time, our company being based, having a big operation in Malaysia, Singapore, and a few other countries like Australia, we discover new products that they are also developing, and we find a product that can be sold in the Philippine market, and we introduce it. At the same time, we are very observant, like our Black Forest loaf, which was a winner product.
Yes.
In fact, we cannot produce enough of the Black
really?
Forest loaf
Oh.
because it's so much in demand. That's why consumers complain we cannot find it. They say that. It's because that was just copied from the cakes.
Yes,
When we saw people enjoying Black Forest cakes, sabi na, why don't we make a loaf called Black Forest loaf? And then ube cheese, no?
Yes,
ice
that
cream.
big trend of the
That was an
pandemic.
ice cream. That was an ice cream, no? So
okay.
an ube and cheese ice cream. So we
Yes,
said, if that's an ice cream, why can't we make a bread that's made of ube and cheese? And we developed, and it was two flavors in one.
Yes, yes.
No? And you start with ube, and you can end up with cheese. In the middle, it's all combination. And consumers love it. Oh, it's innovative. So far, nobody has been able to copy this.
Yes.
And it's available only in the Philippines.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
What other products do you have that developed along that storyline?
During the pandemic, we started trying to find out what consumers were looking at. We created a product like this one, the Choco Brioche Bun.
Wow.
Because it's very nice, but we decided to bring it back right away because the consumers are now on face-to-face meetings, no? With the back-to-school efforts of government. This will now be very useful for kids.
Sir.
Eksaktong baon ng mga bata, no? During the pandemic, it was being sold only to yung mga baon sa office. Pero now, the children can bring that.
Nice.
And also, we came out with our multi-grain loaf. No? So, bun naman. No?
So, mga hindi masyadong may matatamis.
And we created a muffin category. No? I think I have a muffin somewhere here.
Okay.
Yeah. And the muffins are very nice. No? Ang popular kasi sa atin is the cupcakes.
Yes.
Muffins are different.
Nauso rin yun na trend, di ba? During the pandemic.
Yung prior to the pandemic, when you're buying from a chicken store, yung muffins, gano'n. These ones, we created it bigger. And it's quite interesting to have. No? And
Nako, ayan na,
magandang
sarap.
baon, no? So yan yung mga yon. And the other thing is one more trend that happened even prior to the pandemic, but it became more important during the pandemic dahil people wanted to have more immunity.
Yes.
To strengthen the body, to fight off viruses, to fight off illnesses, to make their body better. And we saw that opportunity to grow further our wheat bread category. And we created, this was our wheat bread that was one of our first products beginning. What makes this product different from all other wheat breads is that we add cracked wheat. No? Cracked wheat is fiber, no? That is added to it, and we're the only ones who have that. And we have worked this out with the flour millers to supply that cracked wheat only to us. No? And so we add it here, and that you see the cracked wheat there on the as fibers.
Yes,
and
may
that
texture.
fiber sweeps your gut and removes all the cholesterol. It sweeps the let's say the sugar, no, and the bacteria. So it cleans your gut, so it makes you stronger, and it's filled with vitamins and minerals. And it is 20% high in fiber. All other
Yes.
wheat breads are not high in fiber.
Oh.
No, we make sure that ours is high in fiber. It's got to have at least 20% fiber. But then some consumers find the crack wheat, teka muna, it's medyo, kung magaspang yan, ayoko na magaspang. I can eat it once in a while, pero kung all the time, ayoko. So we introduced naman another variant, which this time, it had
Yes.
this one raisins, no?
Oo.
And it's softer.
Nakakagutom na.
It's softer, and the raisins have flavonoids, which help in
Yes.
fighting cancer,
Oo.
no? And it is richer and tastier. And hindi pa kami nagtigil doon. We added another variant for the health category, which now this time has
Yes.
cranberry. And you know,
Yes.
cranberries have a lot of
Yeah.
health benefits.
Oh, that's a bestseller.
So we yun lang, this one is hard to find dahil we cannot
nga
produce enough of
Yeah,
it.
but I think because it's also a bestseller. I mean,
Yeah,
for people who are dieting or into healthy
Yes.
eating.
We were also surprised that we found out by researching from the market, yung aming Black Forest loaf, it's supposed to be a product that is high in sugar, etc.
Yes.
No? And meron pa siyang iba-ibang ingredients that make it really so delicious with the chocolate. But then athletes were eating it because it is high in protein.
Yes.
Sabi nila,
yes, yes.
sila nagsabi nun, your product is high in protein. Sabi namin, we were never marketing it as such. So we had to review and then relaunch it again in that category so that even the athletes are eating this because they need the
Yes,
sugar,
yes,
they
yes.
need the protein, and it's the market that's created that product and making it a bigger success.
Yeah, and
So
how
with this,
amazing, no?
despite the crisis, we are able to grow. No, we continuously grow even during the past 2 years with the pandemic crisis and the Ukraine economic crisis. We continue to grow because of the challenges. We try to find those market opportunities by innovating, launching new products that the consumers want. At hindi lang yon. We even introduce products na pangmasa.
Ah, okay.
So,
So maybe later we'll learn more about that. We're just starting and already nakita nyo how innovation and probably how how Gardenia Bakery led by Mr. Simplicio Umali has grown despite the challenges of the pandemic, no? And grown deliciously so. With all these products that we have, nako. And now we'll learn, but before that, let's pause for a break and we'll be back.
Magandang araw mga katribo! Narito na ang mga makakasama nyo tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Roy Pelovelo, Comfy Manalo, Vernon Velasco, Kim Sancha at Chirk Balagtas. Abangan ang programang Gising Na sa Facebook page ng Daily Tribune.
Ilabas na ang mainit na kape at samahan kami sa inyong pag-almusal, mga katribo.
Sama-sama natin alamin ang mga natatagong istorya sa mga latest na kaganapan sa loob at labas ng bansa.
Maaari niyo rin ibahagi sa amin ang inyong opinion via Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now sa YouTube.
Makichika na rin sa latest showbiz happenings, mga katribo.
Kaya naman, magsama-sama po tayo sa
Gising na!
Mga impormasyong direktang makukuha mula sa sources at diretsahang usapan. Yan ang ating daming sa inyo sa programang Straight Talk. Samahan nyo kami sa makabuluhang talakayan live tuwing Martes alas 10 ng umaga sa official Facebook page ng Daily Tribune at Tribune Now on YouTube.
Gising na!
Fun and inspiring na kwentuhan? Sagot na yan ang programang Spotlight ng Daily Tribune. Makipagkwentuhan at kilalanin ng iba't ibang personalidad na kilala sa kani-kanilang larangan. Manood at makinig sa mga inspiring stories na kanilang ibabahagi kasama si Nina Ventura. Be ready ng mamangha at matuwa every Thursday alas 2 ng hapon dito lang sa Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now on YouTube.
Nako, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're still with Mr. Simplicio Umali Jr. And before the break, we're talking about how Gardenia has pivoted along with the times to offer improved, better, healthier breads for everyone, especially those who are staying in quarantine, and how it has kept up with the times with new trends introduced and that really responded to the way the market lived their new lifestyle in the midst of a pandemic. So, sir, my next question now, before that, we were talking about how it has also adapted to the needs of the market, and you were talking about the community bakers, bake shops. Can you tell us more about it and how you adapted to that need, also demand from the bread lovers here?
Well, basically, the Philippine bread market is divided into what they call the packaged and the unpackaged market segment. We are in the packaged segment because all our products are pre-packed and sold to retailers. And the community bakeries are what we call the unpackaged segment, as well as the artisan bread business, like our Baker's Maison and those that make those artisan products. Now, the community bakeries, they make products like mamon, monay, Spanish bread.
Yes,
And they were well known for their, what we used to call hot pandesal.
yes.
And that you buy your hot pandesal from the neighborhood store. We never wanted to compete with that sector.
Okay.
No, that is in the past that was 60% of the bread market. Now that's down to 40% of the bread market. Not that they shrunk. No, they did not shrink. No, they're actually still growing. But the market on the package sector, because of our entry and our efforts, it grew much faster. So the market was growing. Consumers, more and more consumers are now eating bread, unlike before. In the past, the consumer would have breakfast, kanin yan.
Yes,
No?
heavy
Ngayon,
eaters.
a majority of them eat bread. No, it was 60-40. No, now it is the other way around, 40-60. 60% will now be eating bread. No?
Yes,
So the community bakeries were very active in supplying right away their community stores, and their products were different. Our products were the fast-selling ones like the loaf bread and the pandesal. Now, they do sell pandesal, but they sell a lot of other products where they make money. On pandesal, they are not making money. On loaf bread, they are also not making money. So, they were trying to grow on that sector. So, what did we do? On our part, we wanted to also serve that market, but this time in a different format, in a packaged way. We started doing it unpackaged, and the problem always, unpackaged in community stores, you know, mga palengke, malangaw. So you always have the problem with the langaw that is all over the place. So we decided, no, we don't want to do that, so we started packing it again. And since we're producing our product centrally in our central bakeries and deliver it to all our stores, we call it the Big Smile stores, wherein we sell the cupcakes, cookies, mamon, monay, ensimada, and things like that.
All the classic favorites
we
of
even called
Filipinos.
the what they call panderegla, we called it secretaria. No, para mas maganda naman pakinggan, ano? We did this innovation and started showing these products in the market, and it's quite interesting how the market responded, but it was hit by the pandemic. No? So many of them closed down. Now it's starting. So we innovated it. Sabi namin, wala nang franchising yan. From now on, it's dealership na lang. You want to sell our products, we will deliver it to you. If you have a sari-sari store, you want to put a corner wherein you are selling Big Smile, we put a signboard for you. It's free.
So you're also inspiring entrepreneurship, no?
Yes.
Parang mga those who want to have added income, the households, probably those who just want to get into the business of food or selling breads, no?
We do not want to compete with them. We work with them so that they will grow. They will grow their businesses likewise. You know, if the economy grows, more people have money to spend. More people will have money to buy bread, and probably even more expensive bread.
And I think it also came at a time na everybody need the job opportunity also, the enterprise opportunity.
Yes, in one crisis, what we did, a lot of people got laid off because of the previous economic crisis. What we did, we created an opportunity to give them jobs. We gave them what we call pedicabs. No, with on the sidecar is a distribution of bread. So
Nice.
in the morning, no, for morning till lunchtime, they are selling bread house to house, and they could earn as much as 350 to 450 pesos for that half day. In the
Yes.
afternoon, they sell ice cream. So they were earning double
Yes,
than when they were employed. So we created an opportunity. When we opened up the Big Smile channels for the those OFWs who wanted to have a business. So we allowed them to open up these businesses, and we're gonna do that again, roll out in the future. So those, instead of their money just being brought here to be spent, they can invest it in putting up let's say a bakery, which is they don't have to have a baker. We deliver the bread to them, pre-packed, ready to sell.
So, are you saying that anybody can just do it, like with the probably advice consultation from your group, they can easily put up their own businesses?
Yeah, we can talk to them, and we will guide them
the
so that they
pricing
can
and
put
all.
a small corner of Big Smile. We're rolling this out right now.
Good, good.
Now that the pandemic is over, it was declared. Even Biden declared in the U.S.
Okay.
the pandemic is over.
Yes.
No, so now we're seeing the end of the pandemic. So
Hopefully.
that's good. Yeah. So we have to move fast.
Yes. Oh. So, sir, right now, with of course the quarantine levels have been really eased. Where do you see the company from here on? Like maybe in maybe not 10 years, but in 2 to 5 years, now that we're starting to recover already from the pandemic?
Well, we saw a lot of opportunities to introduce newer products. During the pandemic, we had more time to talk via Zoom to consumers, to friends, to find out what is happening now, what are you doing now, how are you, what are your preferences. And then when you do face-to-face, you ask more questions and you find out what has evolved into their preferences. And we find opportunities to introduce more products to them. So in the bread category, there's still a lot more products that we can bring out.
So
from the
much
market.
more possibilities.
Yes. Yes, and also from our current factories, we can retool our factories so that we can produce more variants in the market. We have our own R&D group in the Philippines, and there is an R&D group in our sister companies abroad and even in Australia. We can bring their technologies likewise to the Philippines. Now, in addition to that, we always claim that Gardenia is masarap kahit walang palaman.
Yes,
Once
I can attest to that.
Once I delivered a talk to Unilever sales force, and then I said, ang Gardenia masarap kahit walang palaman, you could hear a pin drop in the room because they were selling the palaman, ladies' choice. So they were, and then I said, pero mas masarap ang Gardenia kung merong tamang palaman. Tulad ng ladies' choice, palakpakan sila.
Galing.
So from that, we got inspired. And then we started bringing in our own spread. So we have this in Malaysia. So we brought Delicia hazelnut and Delicia that comes in milky. And we went beyond that because this is a product that is sold in supermarkets. But paano yung sari-sari store? Hindi yan bebenta sa sari-sari store. So, dinevelop namin yung sachets. So, it now comes in a sachet like this na pwedeng ibenta sa sari-sari store. Gusto pa ng consumer ito kasi pwede niyang dalhin, ilagay niya sa tinapay, bitbit niya yung produkto. And pag na-discover namin, in Korea, kinakain nila to. They cut it and then they eat it.
Yeah, as a snack na itself by itself. So, how attractive is it priced?
This is
especially for sari-sari store, no?
well, it's about 11 to 15 pesos
bad,
per piece. So it's not that expensive. Ang kape is
And I
about
mean the
almost
quality
10
also,
pesos.
no?
Yeah, and it's really good. And the packaging, dito lang merong ganitong packaging.
Oo nga,
Even Delicia from Malaysia is not yet packed like this. So we hope it will become a big success. And so far, we're trying to roll it out all over the country.
Nako, I'm sure it will. Nako, tingnan mo pa lang. And you have the milky flavor and variant.
Well, we have the hazelnut flavor.
Yeah.
This is a favorite of a lot of kids.
Yes.
And also the milky for those who do not like nuts.
Ah,
the
oo,
milky.
oo. I mean, some people yata they're allergic or ano, so.
Yeah, to nuts.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, that's a good one. Yeah. Naku, what else have you not thought of?
Well,
Ang dami pa.
we're looking at expanding to other businesses. We created a company called Gardenia Trading and Distribution Company. This will allow us to grow in the next 10 years. We bring in products from abroad and we market it here. And when it's selling well, then we can probably put up a factory and produce it here. Like our company in Malaysia launched a noodle brand called
Yes,
Numi.
I heard about that.
And it's doing very well in Malaysia. There's, who knows, we might be able to bring it also in the Philippines as a noodle brand. No?
Yeah.
And we have this distribution company can bring in a lot of the palaman, which makes our bread tastier
Tamang
because of
palaman.
the right palaman.
Yes.
So we can bring all of this, and then if that product becomes a success, a hit in the Philippines, we will put up a factory and produce it here and create more employment.
Wow, so much things to look forward to from Gardenia Bakery. No, but before we continue talking about these delicious happenings, things that are going for Gardenia, let's pause for a break.
Be updated sa news and happenings katribu. Hatid ng Daily Tribune sa inyo ang mga balitang napapanahon sa loob at labas ng bansa. Kami na ang bahala sa paghahatid sa inyo ng mga latest and reliable news. We got you covered sa programang Tribune News on Q. Mapapanood mula umaga hanggang gabi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes sa Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now on YouTube.
And welcome back to Straight Talk. We're with Mr. Simplicio Umali Jr. having a nice and inspiring chat on the journey that Gardenia Bakery took during the pandemic and where it's going right now. But before we continue with more things to look forward to, how did Gardenia Bakery survive? How did you keep yourself afloat despite the many economic challenges that happened during the past years? I mean, even the external factors, the shortages, the crisis. How did the company keep afloat?
Well, basically, the bread industry is really, as a whole, suffering because of the current crisis, the pandemic and the economic crisis. We've always been through a lot of crises in the past, but this time it's a double whammy talaga, and you know, it's like it was the end of the world. But and then you even had the Ukraine war that created shortages. So the price of flour skyrocketed, as you can see on the chart that is shown there. That is how flour prices went up. It started before the Ukraine war. It started going up in a very steep climb, as you can see there. In the middle, you have the time when the Ukraine war started, and it created further shortages and constant increases in prices. Then it was followed by the sugar crisis, then the oil crisis, then you've got the fuel crisis, and then even electricity started skyrocketing. Our electricity cost has more than doubled already, no, and we cannot even know how to survive with the current rates of electricity that we have to pay, because our factory is fully mechanized, and therefore it consumes a lot of electricity, and distribution cost has gone up. How do you do that? Can you pass on all of these prices to the consumer? 100% increase in price of flour and sugar, you cannot pass that on to the consumer.
Yes,
So you
yes.
can only pass a little bit. So what we did is, as we learned from the past, focus on increasing volume, not reducing volume. Most of our competitors, they started cutting down their volumes because they don't have enough raw materials.
Yes.
So
yes.
in our case, we bought a lot of raw materials, kept it in our warehouses, enough to cover us for the next few months. No, and so we kept on bringing this in, and at the same time, we were able to buy some raw materials still at the old price, but it could only cover you for a few months. And so what we did was, with this scenario, we tried very hard to increase the volumes, whereas others were cutting down on their volumes.
Yes.
So when we increase the volumes, the market expands and our business expands. And at the end of the pandemic, with your big business, then you can already start
Yes.
growing further. But
Yeah.
during the pandemic, you will suffer in terms of the bottom line. No, you will not be profitable, or you will probably have meager profits. No, that will just barely allow you to survive. But during this time, with higher volumes, you're able to spread your fixed cost to more volume, and that's how we do it.
Yes.
As we increase the volume, our fixed cost remains the same. Therefore, we are able to save on that part. But on the variable costs, which are the raw materials, doon kami nahirapan. So we can only pass on a small portion, which we believe the market can still absorb. But it's not that simple. Our price increases were there, but they were very small compared to the cost of our ingredients. And still, our profitability has really been brought to the bottom. But babawi kami. Pagkatapos ng pandemic, pagkatapos ng economic crisis, when our volumes are up there, and then a little bit of increase from profitability because of reduction of costs, then that will help us recover what we lost in the previous years. That's how we do it.
I think that's a very strategic plan. It's really just planning for the future and being able to to keep up with what's in there right now, diba? So that's a survival plan that a lot of our business people should look into as well.
Yeah.
Sir, and also because of the, speaking of volumes, what I'd like to find out now is your products have a short shelf life.
Yes.
Because they're perishables, they're made out, and you want it to be as fresh as possible. What do you do with the unsold products, if it's okay to ask you?
Oh, wait, let me start this way. Let me explain why the bread products usually have only a 7-day shelf life. No, and some products in the baking process, if they're stored properly, they can maybe extend a little bit more. But normally, it's a 7-day shelf life. So in our case, the market sells the bread and keeps it available for sale up to the 7th day. In some cases, up to the 5th day or 6th day. And then they take it out of the shelves. The supermarkets ask the sellers of bread to take out the bread on the 6th day, because they don't want to be selling bread to their customers that will expire the next day.
Yes,
That will become moldy the next day. Consumers, that is damaging to the brand if your bread becomes moldy. In our case, we put even in our packaging guaranteed fresh. No, and when we say guaranteed fresh, that's part of our strategic approach, which means that we deliver bread every day, and when we pull it out the following day, or the 2 days after that, we come back to the store, anything that was not sold, we take out and replace with fresh stocks. We do not allow breads to stay longer than 2 days on the shelves, so it's always fresh. So what do we do with those days, with those breads that still have 5-day shelf life? No, what will happen to that? Ang dami niyan, no? So, well, for us, it's not that much because we have been able to develop a system of distribution. But those that come back, no, those with still 5-day shelf life, sayang naman yun kung tatapon mo yun. So, dinodonate namin yan sa charity. So, let's say may nasunugan, immediately meron kaming dedicated truck na pupunta doon, magde-deliver ng tinapay. Dahil yung nasunugan, walang makakain yun eh. So immediately, bibigyan namin ng bread na nanggaling sa mga supermarkets na na-check ng aming QA. Our QA checks the breads that were returned to us, and then they say, these ones can be donated to the poor, they can be donated to feeding programs, to communities in need, even during calamities. We allot these products and bring it to the calamity-stricken areas and distribute this. So a big chunk of our volumes that we pull out is donated to charity. So tuloy-tuloy yan, as you can see in the photos, a lot of our activities, even to the yung mga ating frontliners, no, binigyan namin yan. Nakita namin yung mga security, yung mga police na nasa kalye, hirap na hirap sila under the sun and exposed. So we were giving them bread. Oh, they were so happy. Even the hospitals, we were delivering bread to them, no, to the frontliners there. And we also created what we call a nutrition program. We noticed, for example, in DepEd, there are a lot of children who come to school hungry. So when they're hungry, they're not listening kasi gutom sila eh. So we worked with the DepEd and some groups, and we started donating bread particularly to these children who come hungry. So we were delivering bread regularly to these groups. And we also have foundations who distribute to communities. Nung naglumabas ang community pantry, we were asked by community pantries to donate.
Yes.
But no, what we did, we had a truck that went to community pantries and we started delivering this bread. Now, there are breads that are not good anymore. Because let's say they got crumpled or we're not sure where the bread was displayed. Those we cannot, we do not dispose to landfills. What we do is we sell this to fish pond contractors. And the fish pond contractors convert this into fish meal. So yung mga bangos, mga tilapia.
I'm just amazed.
Yeah, they dry it and they throw it in the fish pond. At pag may nakita kang isda na may tatak gardenia inside, malambot na isda yun.
So parang nakakamanghalang, no? Kasi you actually thought of the sustainability, yung parang yung sustainability of the product, of what will happen next, without causing too much, without leaving too much waste on this planet Earth, yung mga ganon, ano? So you have green practices as well.
Yes. That, well, also going beyond that, we espouse the concept of developing a strategy that is going to help those who have less. So that's why we have this freshness policy, and the bread we pull out, we donate to charity.
Yes.
Now, we're developing newer programs. What do you do with the plastics that are used to package bread?
Yes.
No, you cannot package. There is no available packaging for bread to keep it fresh, no, other than plastic. If you use paper, it will dry in just a matter of hours.
Okay.
So the bread becomes hard to dry in a matter of hours. So you have to use plastic. But the idea is we're developing a program to recover the plastics that the consumers are using in order to do that. But prior to that, on the packaging, what we were doing more than that was our factory uses LPG, so there is no emission to the environment, no. And our production operations, all our water systems that we use in our factory is purified before it is released to the environment. So it's purified. You can actually drink it. We even had the time when we had fish placed in a pond where the water goes in before it goes to the river. Dumami na dumami yung isda. Naubos na yung isda kasi kinakain pala ng mga security guards namin. We had an aquarium all of a sudden.
Sir, what is your marketing strategy for a household name that already markets itself? Is it parang it's already working on its own? It's a household name.
Well, a good product is the very most important thing. You have to have a product that is better than anybody else, or it has to be better than what the consumers are having right now. And that's what we had. But it will not sell itself. No, the first 2 years of the company, it wasn't taking off. No, from our business. So we had to innovate the way we were doing things. So what we did, we started researching and talking to consumers, find out what was it that they were looking for. Sabi nila, hinahanap nila lagi yung asan ang bago. And that was the most common question. Alin ang bago? They asked our merchandisers.
Yes.
Alin ang bago? So what they would do is they will look at the expiry date of the bread. You should not look at the expiry date because that's the end of life of the bread.
Yes.
You should look, but what they want to know is when was this product baked? So they ask the different question, but their real question is when was this product baked? So what we did, we created a colored G-lock, the lock that goes on the product, like this one. This is the lock that is colored. Now for a Monday, it is tan. For a Tuesday, orange, yellow, blue, green, red, and white. There is a color per day. So we told the consumers, look at the color, and when you go to the shelves and all the colors are the same, you know that is the latest delivery. And then we ensure them that it is always guaranteed fresh, and so it's always delivered. So that's why we pull it out every day of delivery. Now this lock was important because then that was something that we would do as a marketing effort to freshness concept. Next is we communicated this. We look, ano pa ba hinahanap ng consumer? Alam mo, ginagawa discover namin consumers, ginaganon yung mga tinapay sa supermarket. Pagkatapos
Sobrang lambot, oo.
tapos pinitpit yung tinapay na ganon, titingin ng ganon, kung merong nakatingin, kung wala nakatingin, iiwanan yung napitpit, kukuha ng katabi.
Oh my,
No?
oh.
So we discovered that. So that's because the packaging was very tight. No, nakatayin-tayo siya. So we just simply loosened the packaging. So
Simple,
it became
oo.
soft, it bent a bit, no? And since naka-bent siya, nakita ng consumer, yan malambot. Yan ang bibilin ko.
So perception.
Hindi na kailangan pitpitin. And there was
Yes.
aroma.
Oo.
So when they pass by the bread section, they smell the bread.
Yes.
Gugutumin ka. You want to buy bread.
That's
So these are
true.
things, understanding what consumers need and then offering it to them, then they would want it. And at the beginning, consumers buy products not because it is healthy, because they presume it has to be healthy. So vitamins and minerals do not sell. But now, because of the pandemic, it's selling.
Yes.
So we are highlighting more of our vitamins and minerals, and we are the only brand that has folate. And yung
Important for women.
Yeah, yung may pingot, yung mga cleft
Yes,
palate,
oo.
that's a folate disorder. And when you try to take your folate as a pregnant woman,
Yes.
1 month ka na pregnant, tapos na yung time that you're supposed to take
Yes,
folate, no?
yes.
So if you keep eating Gardenia bread, you get your dose of folate, you have your vitamins, and then you can do that as a woman. That also helps improve the skin. It also has
wow.
other benefits, and we have all the other vitamins and minerals on the product, and that's something more. And we still keep developing more products that can provide more support, like we have the raisins, we have the cranberry,
Yeah.
and these are things that we added to create a lot of changes. And with our wider range of products, consumers see that it is not just loaf bread or pandesal that we are selling, and all the other products help build the brand name. So consumers like it. In fact, some people are asking, why don't you put Gardenia in the brand of milk, or put Gardenia as a brand of noodles, or create Gardenia as a brand of coffee? Teka muna, sabi namin, that's bread.
Yes. Yeah. So much to talk about, no? But of course, I also want to ask you personally, as a leader of a Gardenia bakery, what keeps you moving? With so much innovation happening constantly, despite all the crises and challenges that the industry has faced, what keeps you moving as a leader?
Well, basically,
So I see all the energy and the excitement of things to come.
well, marketing and business management is an exciting job. It's filled with a lot of challenges, a lot of frustrations, and a lot of things that you have to overcome. But then at the end of the year, when you see that despite the crisis you grew, wow, you are motivated. And as you know, month on month that you're still growing, doing better, you get motivated to do better. No, and that drives you. The feeling that you are able to innovate, create something new, satisfy consumers, make them happy, and then even the owners of the company get happy because they see what you are able to achieve. We are growing at the rate of 1 billion pesos per annum in our company, and we double our business every 5 years, and we're looking forward to putting in more factories all over the Philippines so that we can flood the market with a lot more Gardenia bread, because the per capita consumption of bread in the Philippines is still way too low, and
Really?
our competitor is actually not our bread competitors. We consider our competitor rice. We want to encourage consumers to eat more bread, because bread is full of vitamins and minerals, whereas rice is just carbo. So that way, not only do you increase your business, but you're improving the well-being and health of the Filipino consumer.
What about your advice to probably those who are starting their businesses? How can they uplift or elevate their business game as well, the way that Gardenia did?
Well, always look at your long-term vision for that you want to achieve. What do you want to do? And then move towards the short-term objectives that you want, and focus on that, and make sure that you develop all the strategies that you can develop to achieve that. Whether it is a personal objective, whether it is an objective that involves work, then you have to work on that. I teach this in the academy because I have a passion for sharing my knowledge and expertise in marketing. I teach in the academy, and I become a lecturer and become a professor to some students. And when I see them successful, I find. So I tell the small businesses, you're small now. Gardenia was small. We were only 187 million on the second year of operation. Now we are more than 9 billion after over 20 years, no? And you can do it. We did it. You can do it. Everybody can do it. Just stay focused on your long-term direction. Keep gaining continual innovation, not continuous innovation, but continual. Continual means if you've reached this level, you jump again, then go further, keep going up higher and higher, and don't stop. And that would motivate you.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Simplicio Umali Jr. I would say that's some amazing bread for thought, not just food for thought. So thank you for joining us today. Maybe before we let you go, can you give us some parting shots naman for our dear Katribo viewers?
Well, I hope you all love our Gardenia Breads and keep consuming more if you like. But rest assured, we will keep developing more products to satisfy you in the future.
Good to know, sir. And thank you for joining us today, coming over to the studio, telling us about the wonderful news about the latest products as well and things to look forward to. Well, thank you mga Katribo for joining us. Watch Straight Talk every Tuesday at 10 a.m. on Daily Tribune's Facebook page and Tribune Now on YouTube. Once again, I'm Francine Marquez and this is Straight Talk.
We would like to thank the following: Araneta, Pag-ibig, SM Supermall, Veteran, Divina Law Offices, ICTSI, Xlog, Globe, Kia, PLDT, Cherry, Tanawan, Prime Homes, RLC, Pure Gold, Meralco, and SM Retail.